Hey, guess what? It's that time again. It is time for our fourth block of the month featuring Elizabeth Hartman's pattern, North Stars. So this month is pretty cool because I have to tell you, we've been a little bit all about the unicorn here at BERNINA of Naperville, and why not commemorate this month a unicorn of the sea, which is our cute little Neville the Narwhal. Now, just like every month, there are going to be fabrics that are in your kit. And in this month's kit, there are 10 fabrics, including the background and the small scraps of black and white. You're going to need your rotary cutter and mat and all the rulers, just like I always tell you. And you're going to need thread, a sewing machine, and your heat vanishing pins. Now, I have probably beaten it to death with showing you all of these different ways to make half square triangles and flying geese units and things like that. So I'm assuming by our fourth month that you've got this stuff down. So what I thought we could do is take a little bit of a look at something else that we can do. So let's look at the fabric first. So Neville the Narwhal has a solid, very, very light pink background. It's 22 inches with the fabric. We also have just a tiny little bit of black, and that's going to be for Neville's eye. And then, of course, we've got to make that gorgeous tooth, which is a tooth, not a tusk. It is a tooth, and it is 2 inches by 9 inches. And then there are 7 other fabrics that are fat eighths, and a fat eighth is 9 inches by 21 inches. Hey, I bet you wanted to know a fun fact. So we're going to start off with a little bit about narwhals and the legend. And in one legend, the narwhal's tusk was created after a woman harpooned a large narwhal. The animal was able to drag her into the sea by snatching the harpoon rope tied around her waist. Then she was transformed into a narwhal, and her hair, which she was wearing in a twisted knot, became the narwhal tusk. If you believe that one, I've got another store in Narnia to sell you. Anyway, I go on. So here's our cool thing that we're going to try. We're going to try something new this month. And the fabric that we included, you can kind of switch the fabric around just a little bit because you have plenty of fabric to do this with. But I want you to try fussy cutting. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what fussy cutting is when you center the pattern of a fabric on a specific spot to get a certain effect. So as you see below here, you can see our moons. So I centered those moons right in the center of our 2.5 inch blocks, which is what those are, and then I mirrored them. And so I wanted to just make sure that I did that, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And also you can see I even made a little bit of an attempt there with the mermaid. So let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to show you how to fussy cut. Now this fabric here with the moons on it is what I used in a 2.5 inch square. Also, in some of the flying geese units, we use this in the flying geese units, but these aren't going to be 2.5 inch squares. These are going to be, so these go into a flying geese unit that is 2.5 inches by 4.5 inches, and I'll show you how to do that. And just for fun, I wanted to show you this new fabric we got. Now, this is a collection from Wyndham Fabrics. And that's Camilla. She just bumped the camera because she thinks that there's food on the floor, but it's really fuzz. All right, anyway, back to it. So this fabric is from Wyndham. It's a debut collection from a lady named Catherine Quinn, and it's called Whale Tails. And if we look here, there's a little narwhal in there, and that's why I wanted to show that to you because it's super cute. And so if you wanted to add a touch of this to your block of the month, you can certainly get this. We have it up on our website. But you also have fabric in your kit. So we are going to start by cutting. So one of the things that's going to be important to use is a ruler like this, and this ruler is a 4.5 inch with the grip added to the bottom. And knowing that we're going to cut 2.5 inch square, we're going to line the center of that 2.5 inch up with the moon, and a half of 2.5 is 1.25 inches. So I'm looking at my 1.25 inch mark right here so that I can get that right in the center of the moon. And then once I have that there, all I'm doing is cutting and cutting. Now, one thing I want you to be mindful of is when you fussy cut, you are going to use more fabric, but you have enough in your kit to be able to fussy cut your 4 pieces for Camilla. You have enough in your fabric in the kit to fussy cut your moons for the block of the month. So once I got it centered, then I'm going to take the 2.5 inch mark on my ruler, line that up, and cut. And there's our fussy cut moon. The next one, just so you get an idea, we're going to be cutting 2.5 inches by 4.5 inches. And sometimes with these, we can't really center it in the rectangle because we're going to have some squares that get flipped over here. But I kind of like seeing this. I don't know if you can tell, but that's a little mermaid tail on there. So let's say we wanted to get the mermaid tail on our piece. So I'm going to say half of 4.5 is 2.25. So I'm going to line my 2.25 line up just there, and I'm keeping my little mermaid tail to the bottom. And now I'm just going to cut this out of here, and this is lined up at 2.5, and this is lined up at 2.25 right down the middle of the tail. And now I'm going to cut. And so that you can see that little mermaid tail is fussy cut right in the middle there, because ultimately that's where you're going to take your 2.5 inch pieces that get flipped here and flipped there like that. So you can see how that mermaid tail would be right in the center there. Now on mine, I actually did the same thing with some of the mermaids, and I had like a swimming mermaid, I had a mermaid doing this. So be creative, because you do have plenty of fabric to do that with this time. You know, I just can't tell you how many times I need to express to you that you need to label, 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 because as perfect as I am, even on this block, I made an oop. And don't point it out, I'll do it for you. But I ooped on mine, and what I did is I switched some of them, and you know, you can't even really tell. If you didn't know exactly what the block is supposed to look like, you wouldn't be able to tell. But I accidentally mixed up my BB plus MM plus BB and my BB plus FF plus BB in a couple of different blocks. And I did not even bother ripping it out because I liked it. It made sense. So, you know, keep in mind, if you want to do a little bit of rearranging, this is your quilt. You can do with it whatever you want. So, fun fact number 2, narwhal, its closest living relative is the beluga. But unlike belugas, narwhals or narwhals, they have a tusk that is actually a tooth. So, you know, in slang we call them a tusk, but it is their front left tooth protrudes from the upper lip. And then the right front tooth is small and usually remains in the mouth. And, you know, we think Camilla might be part narwhal because one of her teeth tends to stick out of her lips a little bit more than the other as well. So there you have your fun fact number 2. So we know we need to label, 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 and sometimes I get a little confused on these units. So I usually put them together and then I label this side up, and then I'll also maybe put a little label on them so I know which side gets joined together. I just, you know, and maybe it is because when I make these blocks, I don't really sit down all at one time and do it. I kind of, you know, sit for a little bit and do it, and then, you know, I get pulled in a couple of different directions. Fun fact number 3, there are no narwhals in captivity, which is a good thing, though it has been tried. But lucky for the narwhals, they fare poorly in captivity, so people no longer capture them for this purpose. Now, the one to the right is a narwhal replica that you can find at the Natural History Museum in Washington, D.C. I took that picture myself, and this little guy is probably made out of some kind of plastic or something like that. It was really high up and had like disco lights flashing on him and everything, but it was really a fun experience to tour this exhibit. If you ever get a chance one day when we can all travel to go to the nation's capital. So once you get your pieces labeled and you've got your flying geese units and your half square triangles put together, then it's going to be time for you to just start building the block. And here's a picture of it so that you can see how it all goes together. And I will point out to you that here's my little block here. You see my little mermaid right there? She should have been here, and this little mermaid should have been here, and then these dark blocks should have been here and here. So that's where I made my little oop oop. But don't worry, I don't think it ruined the quilt block at all. Our final fun fact is that there are 50 million narwhal which live in Canada, Alaska, and Greenland. So if you want to know where they're chilling, that is where they're chilling, and for sure they are chilling because they prefer a really cold climate. And I got these facts thanks to sportdriver.com. And you can click on this link or go visit this link and read more of them. There were about 8 facts that I got from there. We're about 3 months plus into this being our 4th month. So I just wanted to give a shout out to some of you that are sewing along with us. This comes from Patty. Patty is from Syracuse, New York, and she is working on Patty Polar Bear. That looks very, very familiar. And then Bonnie from Naperville, she has completed Patty, Willa, and Owen. And there's her Owen right there. Looks just like mine. So next month, look at that cutie. You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille, the seal. Yeah, it doesn't quite go like that. And some people like to sing it in tune. Anyway, next month, we will be focusing on not messing up. In the meantime, you might want to check out our whale tails collection, which I showed you a little fat quarter of in our demonstration. You may even spot that elusive narwhal. Well, I certainly hope that you enjoyed making this cute little narwhal, and I hope you learned a few things about a narwhal. I mean, they are the unicorn of the sea, of course. Anyway, if you like this video and you want to see more, don't forget to tune in to our YouTube channel. It's easy to remember. It's youtube.com/BERNINA of Naperville. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to know when we post new videos just like this one, ring the little bell and then you'll get an alert. So until then, keep sewing these cute little critters and we'll see you next month.